My ex-girlfriend left me for a richer guy, then showed up at my wedding asking me to take her back. You're standing at the altar, about to marry the love of your life. The church is packed with family and friends, your heart is racing with joy. And then you see her, your ex-girlfriend, the one who destroyed you, walking down the aisle, not as a guest, but coming straight toward you in front of everyone, begging you to stop the wedding and take her back. What do? Well, that's exactly what happened to me, and what I'm about to tell you is so unbelievable, you might think I'm making it up, but I promise you, every single word of this is true. And by the end of this story, you'll understand why that moment at my wedding was actually the most satisfying moment of my entire life. But to understand why, we need to go back 3 years. 3 years ago, I was dating a girl named Jessica. We'd been together for 4 years at that point. 4 years of what I thought was real love. We met in college, and honestly, she was everything I'd ever wanted. Beautiful, funny, ambitious. We talked about marriage, we talked about kids, we even picked out names. I was working as a junior software developer back then, making decent money, but nothing crazy, around $60,000 a year. Jessica was in marketing, making about the same. We had a modest apartment, drove normal cars, and were saving up for a house. Life was simple, but it was good. Or at least I thought it was. Looking back now, I can see the signs I missed. Jessica started becoming distant around the time I got passed over for a promotion. She'd make little comments about our financial situation, nothing too harsh at first, just things like, "Wouldn't it be nice to travel more?" Or, "I wish we could afford a nicer place." Then she started going to more networking events for work, coming home later, being secretive with her phone. Classic science, right? But I trusted her completely. I was an idiot. One night, about 6 months before everything fell apart, she came home from one of these events absolutely glowing. She couldn't stop talking about this keynote speaker she'd met. His name was Marcus. He was a tech entrepreneur. He'd sold his company for millions. He was charming. He was successful. He was everything, apparently. And I just smiled and nodded like a fool. Over the next few months, Marcus's name came up more and more. Marcus said this about market trends. Marcus thinks I should pivot my career this way. Marcus invited our whole team to his lake house. I should have seen it coming, but love makes you blind. Or maybe just stupid. Then came the night that changed everything. It was a Thursday, I remember, because we always got Thai food on Thursdays. I came home early to surprise her, planning to order her favorite curry. I walked into our apartment and there she was, suitcases packed, sitting on the couch with this look on her face that I'll never forget. Pity mixed with excitement, like she felt bad for me but was thrilled for herself. She didn't even let me ask what was happening. "I'm leaving," she said, just like that, cold, direct. "I'm moving in with Marcus." I literally laughed. I thought she was joking, but she wasn't. "I need more," she continued. "You're a great guy, but you're never going to be successful. Not really. Marcus can give me the life I actually want. Trips to Europe, a nice house, financial security. I'm sorry, but I can't waste any more time waiting for you to become something you're never going to be." Those words, I can still hear them. Waste any more time. Like our 4 years together meant nothing. Like I was just some placeholder until someone better came along. I was devastated. I begged. I actually got on my knees and begged her to stay. Promised I'd work harder, make more money, be better. And you know what she said? "That's exactly the problem. You shouldn't have to promise to be better. You should already be better." And then she left. Walked out with her suitcases, got into Marcus's BMW that was waiting downstairs, and that was it. 4 years. Gone. The next few months were the darkest of my life. I couldn't eat, couldn't sleep, couldn't focus at work. My performance slipped. My friends tried to help, but I was drowning. Every time I saw a happy couple, my chest would tighten. Every time someone mentioned success or money, I felt worthless. But then something changed. I was scrolling through social media one night, torturing myself by looking at Jessica's posts. She'd made her relationship with Marcus public immediately. There were photos of them at fancy restaurants, on a yacht, at some charity gala. She looked so happy. And there I was, eating ramen in my underwear at 2 in the morning. But then I saw a comment on one of her posts. One of her old friends from college wrote, "Hope this one works out better than the last rich guy you dated before you met Jake." Wait, what? I went down a rabbit hole. Turns out, before Jessica and I got together, she dated another wealthy guy, a real estate developer's son. That relationship ended when his trust fund got cut off after some family drama, and suddenly Jessica was single right around the time we met. It all clicked. I wasn't special. I was just another guy in a pattern. She dated up when she could and settled when she couldn't. And now she'd found someone who could give her what she wanted, so I was disposable. That realization was actually freeing, because it meant her leaving wasn't about me being inadequate, it was about her being shallow. And I could work on myself, but she'd always be shallow. So I made a decision. I was going to become successful. Not for her, not to win her back, but for me, to prove to myself that I was capable of more. I threw myself into my career. I started learning new programming languages, I built apps in my free time, I networked like crazy, I took on freelance projects. I barely slept, but every hour I worked, I felt stronger, more in control. And then I met Sarah. Sarah was a product manager at a startup I'd started consulting for. She was brilliant, kind, funny, and completely uninterested in my financial situation. She drove a beat-up Honda, lived in a tiny apartment, and her idea of a nice date was hiking and making dinner together. We clicked immediately, but I was terrified. I'd been so burned by Jessica that I couldn't imagine trusting someone again. But Sarah was patient. She understood. And slowly, I let her in. Within 6 months of meeting Sarah, 3 things happened that changed my life forever. First, one of the apps I'd built in my spare time got noticed by a venture capital firm. They offered to fund it and turn it into a full company, me as CEO. 6-figure salary plus equity. Second, the startup I'd been consulting for got acquired by a major tech company, and they offered me a leadership position with a compensation package that made my old salary look like pocket change. Third, I fell completely in love with Sarah. Real love, not the conditional love Jessica had given me. Sarah celebrated my success, but she'd loved me before it. She saw my worth when I was broken. That's real. I proposed to Sarah on the beach at sunset. Nothing fancy, just us, the ocean, and a ring I'd saved months for. She said yes before I even finished asking. We set a date for the following spring. Small wedding, close friends and family, at a beautiful venue overlooking the water. I didn't think about Jessica at all during this time. I'd moved on. She was genuinely just a bad memory. I'd heard through mutual friends that she was still with Marcus, living in his penthouse, traveling constantly. Good for her. I didn't care. But apparently, she cared about me. 2 weeks before my wedding, I got a DM on social media from Jessica, the first contact in over 2 years. "Hey, I saw you're getting married. Congratulations. Can we talk?" I showed Sarah. She laughed and said it was up to me, so I responded with a simple, "No thanks, I'm good." Jessica didn't take the hint. She messaged again and again. At first, they were casual. "Just want to catch up. Would love to know how you're doing." But then they got more intense. "I made a mistake. I think about you constantly. Please, just give me 5 minutes." I blocked her. Then she found my email. She sent long messages about how she realized Marcus wasn't the man she thought he was, how money didn't buy happiness, how she'd matured and understood what really mattered now, how we were meant to be together. I blocked that too. Then she contacted my mom who'd hated Jessica since the day she left. My mom told her off and gave me a heads up. We joked about Jessica's audacity and forgot about it. The wedding day came. It was perfect. Sunny, warm, light breeze from the ocean. Sarah looked absolutely stunning in her dress. I was standing at the altar with my best man, watching the bridesmaids walk down the aisle, waiting for my bride. The music changed. Sarah was about to come through the doors. Everyone stood up. I could feel tears forming. This was it, the happiest moment of my life. And then I saw movement from the side entrance. Jessica, wearing a white dress, walking into the ceremony, toward the altar, toward me. Everything went silent in my head. People gasped. My best man grabbed my arm. The officiant looked panicked. Sarah's dad, who was about to walk her down the aisle, stopped in confusion. Jessica walked right up to the altar, tears streaming down her face, and in front of everyone, 150 guests, she said, "Jake, please, don't do this. You're making a mistake. We belong together. I'm so sorry for everything, but I love you. I've always loved you. We can fix this. Just please don't marry her." The church was dead silent. You could hear a pin drop. Everyone was staring, waiting to see what I would do. I looked at Jessica, really looked at her. She was still beautiful, still looked the same. But I felt nothing. No anger, no sadness, nothing. And then I started laughing. Not a mean laugh, just genuine laughter at the absurdity of it all, at her entitlement, at the drama of this moment. "Jessica," I said, loud enough for everyone to hear, "I need to thank you." She looked confused, hopeful even. 3 years ago, you told me I would never be successful, that you were wasting your time with me, and you left me for a guy with money. You broke me, completely destroyed me. I could see Sarah now, standing at the back of the church with her dad, watching. I smiled at her and continued. But that pain made me work harder than I ever had. It made me discover what I'm actually capable of. And most importantly, it got me out of a relationship with someone who only valued me for what I could buy her. So, thank you, genuinely. Because if you hadn't left me, I never would have found Sarah. And Sarah is worth 100 of you. Jessica's face crumpled. "But I heard about your success, about your company, about my money," I interrupted. "Yeah, that's the only reason you're here, isn't it? Not because you love me. You loved Marcus until his company had financial trouble 6 months ago and he had to sell his penthouse." "I know all about it, Jessica. Our mutual friend Tom told me everything. You're here because I'm successful now, and Marcus isn't anymore. You're shopping for the next upgrade." Her mouth opened, but no words came out. "Here's the thing," I continued. "I didn't become successful for you. I didn't become successful to prove you wrong. I became successful for me, and I found someone who loved me before any of this. Someone who sees my value as a human being, not as a bank account. So no, Jessica, I'm not making a mistake. I made a mistake years ago when I begged you to stay. This is me fixing that mistake." I turned to my best man. "Can someone please escort her out?" 2 of my groomsmen, both built like linebackers, gently but firmly guided Jessica back down the aisle. She was crying, saying, "I'm sorry," over and over, but I'd already turned back to face the altar. The music started again. Sarah came through the doors. She was crying too, but smiling, the biggest, most beautiful smile I'd ever seen. When she reached me, she whispered, "That was the hottest thing I've ever witnessed." We got married. The reception was incredible. Everyone kept coming up to congratulate me, not just on the wedding, but on how I handled Jessica. My mom gave a speech about how proud she was that I'd found real love. Sarah's dad said he'd never been more certain his daughter was marrying the right person. That was 8 months ago. Sarah and I are happier than ever. My company is growing. We just bought our dream house. Not a mansion, not a penthouse, just a comfortable home with a yard for the dog we want to get. I heard through the grapevine that Jessica moved back in with her parents and is working retail while she figures things out. Part of me feels bad for her, but mostly I feel grateful. She taught me what love isn't, and that made it possible to recognize what love is. So here's what I learned from all of this. Your value as a person has nothing to do with your bank account. The right person will love you at your lowest, not just celebrate you at your highest. And sometimes the worst thing that happens to you becomes the best thing that ever happened to you. You just have to survive it first. If you're going through a breakup right now, especially one where someone made you feel like you're not enough, hear me. You are enough. You've always been enough. And when you find the right person, you won't have to convince them of your worth. They'll just see it. As for Jessica showing up at my wedding, looking back, I couldn't have asked for a better gift, because it gave me the chance to publicly choose the woman who chose me when I had nothing. And that moment of clarity, of knowing I made the absolute right decision, was priceless. The last thing I'll say is this. Revenge isn't about destruction. It's not about making someone suffer. Real revenge is living well. It's becoming the person you were always capable of being. It's finding genuine happiness. Because when you do that, you don't need to say a word to the people who doubted you. Your life speaks for itself. And that's exactly what happened when Jessica walked into my wedding and saw what she could have had. Not my money, not my success, but my happiness. The kind of happiness she'll never find because she's always looking for it in the wrong places. So yeah, my ex-girlfriend left me for a richer guy. Then she crashed my wedding begging me to take her back. And I said, no. Best decision I ever made. If you made it this far, thanks for listening to my story. I hope it reminded you that your value as a person has nothing to do with your bank account. The right person will love you at your lowest, not just celebrate you at your highest. And sometimes the worst thing that happens to you becomes the best thing that ever happened to you. You just have to survive it first. If you're going through a breakup right now, especially one where someone made you feel like you're not enough, hear me. You are enough. You've always been enough. And when you find the right person, you won't have to convince them of your worth. They'll just see it.